Pretty interesting. So we're going to take a look across the markets today. But first we're going to briefly do a little lesson on what is volume. It is a very basic element in trading. And so we'll go over that and then we'll get into our weekly closes and what we're looking for in the next few days here. Let's hop into it. So what is volume? Volume is an indicator on TradingView. You go up to indicators, click it, type in VOL. Be the first one. It is a built-in. Comes usually on charts already. That's how standard it is. And on my chart here, you can see it on the bottom. It's these white bars. And so what are these white bars and why are they important to us? So volume is a measurement of total, and this isn't unique to any given chart, but a total number of shares or units or contracts that are traded for a specified asset in a specified time frame. So right now we have the 4 hour up and we see these bars on the bottom, and the higher they are implies that more trading, more units exchanged hands in that time frame. So we can see this candle here had a large white volume candle underneath, and some of these over here, very low volume, small bars underneath. And so what this means is that fewer contracts, units were exchanged in these bars versus this bar back here. If we zoom out, we see that the bars recalibrate, and back here, this is the largest volume candle we see in this view we have up. And so what we'll notice is if we change time frames to an hour, let's say, these candles will resort. And the reason is because a 1 hour candle, obviously 4 of them makes a 4 hour candle, and that volume in each 1 hour candle is reflected on the 4 hour. And then we can zoom out to the 1 day. And why are these important? So if we were to consult a textbook on trading, they would say that moves that have higher volume are more significant. When in an uptrend, high volume is viewed as strongly bullish, and when in a downtrend, high volume is viewed as strongly bearish. Now, I have my own take on this, and maybe it's because of the asset that I trade most commonly. Maybe it's a little different versus traditional markets. But if we zoom out here, we see that maybe that definition isn't totally correct, or at least maybe isn't totally correct for Bitcoin. If we look at the highest volume periods, back here on December 20th, 2017, kind of November 24th, 2018, 26th of June 2019, and March 15th 2020. And so what we see here that is not what we would expect is that these highest volume peaks, instead of being signs of continuation like textbook technical analysis would suggest, they seem to be areas of reversal. So in March we had what could be labeled a capitulation event, where we sold off very hard along with all other assets essentially, and then reversed. Same with back here in 2017, hit a very high top, high volume, and reversed. So maybe Bitcoin doesn't fit that mold perfectly. There is a great example back here, December 11th, 2015. We see the highest volume candle on Coinbase available. And that was, let's see, right at the previous all-time high, basically. It was rejected. I wouldn't say this is a reversal, though. We did see strong bullish continuation. So we have one example that fits the volume model, and then maybe 2 or 3 that don't. So lots of people try to use this in trading where they say there's no volume, you know, this is a fake move or something like that when it's going up or down. And I think it's important to understand what volume is. It's how many units are being traded. So yes, low volume can suggest that a move is really just wash trading. It's not an important, or not important, a meaningful price change. But there's times where we won't expect to see volume. So let's see, this 3-month period of sideways trading in a range. When you're trading in a range, you're not going to see volume. Volume pretty much pretty consistently will dwindle down during sideways ranges, and we see that here, and doesn't pick up again until that range is broken. We can see that reflected pretty obviously right here. So I think the takeaway is that volume is comparative. When looking at volume, you need to compare it to other time periods and what's going on with price action. If you're in a long sideways trend and you see a high volume bar, that might suggest that the sideways trend could be ending. But in general, like you're not going to see volume give you a leading indicator. There's almost never a time where volume is very high and then you get a move. The volume follows the move almost always. So I don't personally think that volume is a great indicator for at least short-term price predictions in markets. I think it is more of a hindsight indicator where you can look back and say, okay, well, there was a lot of volume here on March or whatever, and price reverse, so that's probably a bottom. It's not so much something that I would use in real time, and the more you zoom in, I think the truer this is. Like on the hourly here, we zoom into the last 2 days or so, these are very low volume bars. And to see one that's slightly higher than the rest wouldn't be super meaningful because these are very low to begin with. And when you zoom out, you can see that, it's almost invisible, the volume that we've been putting in the last 48 hours maybe. All right, that's my 2 cents on volume. I think it's misunderstood. I think people are always trying to use it, looking for where the move's going, but I don't believe that volume offers you that. I've never seen an example where volume picks up out of nowhere and signals a rally. Really would love to see an example of that, but I don't know if I've ever seen it. It's always a hindsight thing. So don't expect volume until you break a range. Maybe this is a good final thought on it. Don't expect it until you break a high or a low. As you're consolidating, you should expect lower volume. If you see a low or a high break and volume doesn't pick up, maybe that is one of the only ways to use it in active trading. Not seeing volume where you would expect it is a signal that it might be a wash trade, and that market makers might just be pushing price up or down temporarily just to push it back and reap in the profits from that volume. So dope. There's the volume. Let's get into the Bitcoins because we got good stuff to look at. We have a few coins today to look at.